Hello, year three. Sorry, year six. I apologise. Hello, year six. Today we're looking in our RE session, which we're now going back to after a few weeks without RE, at the importance of the Quran to people of the Muslim faith and Muslims. We do this slightly differently if we were in the session together. So if we had a classroom today, we'd have a copy of the Quran, and I'd have placed it somewhere very special within our classroom, and I'd ensure that even more so than normally with COVID, I'd be washing my hands very carefully before touching it, and I'd be touching it in a very delicate and careful way. Now, within that, I'd be doing that just to show the reverence that I, as a person who understands about respect, would be treating that book. And I'm sure somebody who is part of the Islamic faith would treat it with even greater respect than I would do. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at elements of the history of the Islamic faith, and we're going to try and develop an understanding of where the importance of the Quran stems from, and also understand why children now who are part of the faith learn elements of the Quran by heart. Okay. Now, the Quran is the holy book of Islam. Now, Muslims or adherent Muslims believe that the Quran is to be the literal word of God. They have certain rules and practices that must be obeyed when handling the Quran to show respect, and that's why I was talking about how if we were doing this in a classroom and you were all present, if we had a copy of the Quran, we'd be treating it with the utmost respect. Okay, now Muslims believe that the Quran is sacred. Okay, so it's a sacred text. If you already know what sacred means, then great. If not, could you pause and see if you can find a dictionary within the home to see if you can find out what sacred means? Now, hopefully, you've identified that sacred means something which is connected with God or dedicated to a religious purpose, and so deserving of veneration. Now, veneration is a word that's synonymous with respect. So when you treat something venerably, you treat it with respect. You show reverence for it. You show that you respect it. You show that you care for it. And the way that we do that with a copy of the Quran will be to wash our hands before touching it, to be careful with how we place it, not to allow people to destroy or defile it. Okay, so it's important how we treat things that are sacred with respect. Now, for a Muslim, the Quran is treated with the utmost respect. It's ritually washed, and you're cleaned before touching the Quran. The Quran is kept in a special stand, which is called the Rihal. And when it's stored, it's placed on the highest shelf above all other books to show that it's at the top of the tree, that it's the most prominent book within the faith. It's covered by a cloth when it's not being used. Just pausing the video in a second, I'd like you to look at those two blue questions at the bottom. So why do you think Muslims follow these rules? And what does this tell you about Islam, about how they treat things? So hopefully, particularly with the first one, you've thought about how Muslims following these rules shows that they really revere the book that they're looking at, okay? And they're treating as part of their faith. Just revisit elements of the story of God revealing the Quran to Muhammad. So we're going to reveal this. We're going to look at this story as part of our studies today. Okay, Muhammad was born in the town of Mecca in 570 AD. So 570, which is approximately 1,500 years ago. So 1,450 years ago. Both his parents died when he was young, and he was raised by his uncle and grandfather. As a young man, Muhammad worked as a camel driver between Syria and Arabia, and he soon gained a reputation for being honest and trustworthy. He met a woman called Khadija through his business, and they were married when he was 25. Okay, so that's the early part of his life. Mecca at the time was a thriving commercial town. The Arab people who lived there worshipped many idols and cared only for materialism. So it was a very money-focused place. This troubled Muhammad. It made him sad. He often went to a cave just outside the town to meditate and think and consider. Then one day in the cave when Muhammad was 40, so 15 years after his marriage, the angel Gabriel appeared to him with a paper in his hand. He told Muhammad to recite this new message from God to the world. Muhammad couldn't read, but he learnt the words by heart, although he was trembling with fear. So again, in spite of not being able to read, he was still able to access the words which were given to him. Muhammad went back to his wife and told her what had happened. She reassured him that he had been chosen, so it's his wife Khadija, reassured him that he had been chosen by God to be a messenger. The revelations continued until Muhammad died in 632. All the revelations that Muhammad received were passed on to other people and were written down to form the Quran. So that's how the Quran was developed. Now, Muslim children are taught to recite sections of the Quran. Some of you are practicing Muslims and will experience that themselves, and you might know already why that is. If you do, great. If you don't, or are not a Muslim, have a think about why it might be so important for children of the Muslim faith to recite elements of the Quran. Just pause the video while you consider that. Okay, hopefully you've thought about that. Hopefully you've thought about the empathy that will develop for children within the faith with the experiences of Muhammad. And now I'd like you to think more broadly outside of the singular faith of Islam. Think about other faiths and other religions which have sacred books. See if you can think about Christianity and Judaism, Sikhism and Hinduism. See if you can think about any faiths which you know have a book which is special, sacred to the believers of that faith. Pause while you have a think. Continue to think. Okie dokie. Did you get any of these? Christianity, we've got the Bible. Hinduism, the Bhagavad Gita. Judaism has the Torah. Buddhism has the Tripitaka. And Sikhism has the Guru Granth Sahib. Okay, so there's different texts which are relevant and key to those other faiths and revered in a similar way. Okay. Today, you've got two tasks. Your first task is to have a look at the yellow sheet, the first sheet. I'd like you to think about things which are important to your life. Think about authority figures, objects you treat with respect, and things that influence behavior. Okay, think about how they're important to your life, and how, in the second box, how somebody who's a Muslim might be have things which are different in their faith. So, also how things are similar. So it's tricky for some of you, because I know some of you are adherent to the Muslim faith, and if that's you, I'd just fill in the second box. Okay, I think trying to fill the same thing in twice wouldn't really work. However, if you are not a Muslim, you can fill both the sections in. You can see if there's any similarities and differences. Now, if you're somebody who is a Muslim and chooses to fill the first one in based on elements of things which are important to you, which are separate to your faith, that would be interesting as well, where you're comparing the elements of your life which are based on your faith and the elements of your life which are not centered on your faith. Similar to our maths hit, really, at the bottom, we're looking at similarities and differences. So is there something similar between the two boxes that you filled in above, and then is there something different? Second challenge, and again, this might be a different challenge for those of you who are already part of the Muslim faith, but there's 5 elements of the Quran that are written down there. And what I'd like you to try and do is to learn them. That's something that children who are part of the Muslim faith will have done. So see if you're able to learn them. See if you're able to learn them and think about them. Think about what they teach you. Think about what they teach members of that faith. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you for engaging really well with our lesson today. Sorry, that's the arrow pointing towards the first task and then the arrow pointing towards the second task. I hope to see some of your completed yellow sheets, and I hope that you have a good go at learning those sections of the Quran. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.